Stop being coy about your launches. This is one of the number one mistakes that I see small business owners make when it comes to their launches. They don't prepare their audience for their launch, and that ends up creating massive problems when it comes to sales because your audience doesn't know, they're not ready for the launch. They don't know what the offer is, they're not prepared to actually buy from you. And what your goal should actually be when it comes to launching is to have your audience know whether or not they're going to buy from you before your launch even starts. That should be your goal with launching. But what ends up happening is that we play coy, we say, "Oh, I've got a secret project coming," and they have no idea what's going on, right? So, I'm Amanda Warfield. I'm a simplicity focused content marketing strategist, and my mission is to help small business owners simplify their content, their marketing, so that they can spend less time marketing with it, so that they can make a bigger impact and more time working on moving the needle in their business. So, if you're here live, say hi in the chat. I would love to chat with you and learn more about you. And if you are watching the replay, you still can ask questions whenever you're watching this. I will come back to the comments and make sure to respond to them. And who knows, maybe your comment will inspire an entirely new video. So, today I want to talk about how we can simplify our launches. And like I said, the worst thing you can do is be coy and try to be mysterious when it comes to your launches because people don't care. Sad, but it's true. They don't care. And if you say, I've got something cool coming, they're just going to keep on clicking right through your stories, right? What we want to do is we want to make sure that we're preparing our audience without them even knowing they're being prepared, essentially. And that's not to say to be scammy or creepy or um, sleazy or anything like that. But we want to make sure that they are prepared to make that decision for themselves about whether or not your offer is for them. So, when it comes to your launch, I want you to think of it in three phases. And if you can think of it in three phases, it'll help you simplify all of the different moving pieces of a launch and help you actually have fun with your launches again. Honestly, launching should be fun. Marketing should be fun. It's all one big experiment. There is a right or wrong. I don't want to say there's no right or wrong, but once you are understanding what you're doing, you can have a lot more fun with it. Also, guys, I just bought this shirt last week. It says Taylor is my therapist, and I spilled coffee all over it this morning. So I'm a hot mess today. Okay, first things first, let's work backwards for the launch runway. So at the tail end of your launch runway is your launch itself. That is when you're doing your selling, your hard selling, right? And what we tend to do is we think that the launch part of the launch runway is the only part of the launch. And that's how we end up without sales because we show up and we go, "Hey guys, I'm selling this thing." And they're like, "I don't need that. I don't have that problem," right? They're not even aware that they have the problem that your offer is solving. So, they don't buy because 4 days, 5 days, 7 days, it's realistically not enough time to take someone through the buyer journey and help them make that decision of whether or not your offer is for them. So they need to have already gone through a large chunk of the buyer journey by the time they get to your launch week. So your launch itself, that is when you're selling, selling, selling. But before the launch, you have your pre-launch period. And before your pre-launch period, you have your pre-pre-launch period. Your pre-pre-launch period should start like 12 weeks out. So you should be preparing for your launch 2 to 3 months before the launch actually even happens. And during the pre launch, so the middle phase, that's when you're starting to talk about the offer itself, but in a very conversational way. You're not hard selling, you're just saying, also, I have this offer that, yeah, it solves this problem that we're talking about right now. In your pre-launch phase, that's when you're building your list. That is when you are helping your audience members see that they have the problem that you're then going to tell them how to solve later. You're not even telling them how to solve that problem. You're just helping them see whether or not they have it. So I'm going to use my own course, Content Batching Bootcamp, to kind of show you how I walk through these phases when I'm moving into a launch. So in the pre-launch phase, I am trying to make my audience aware that they have the problem that Content Batching Bootcamp is going to solve. And the way I do that is I think, okay, what is the problem that Content Batching Bootcamp solves? Well, it solves the need for a system for creating content in a batch, right? So essentially it boils down to the problem, or the solution, I guess I should say, is the system for creating a whole bunch of content at once. But no one is going around saying, man, I really need a system for batch creating content. No one, we don't think that way, right? No, instead, we're thinking, I don't have time to create content. Batching doesn't work. I don't have time to sit down and create a month's worth of content. I don't even know what to talk about, right? Like we have all these other problems. We're not inspired. We feel like we're a broken record. I can list off a ton of problems, right? And that is what people think their problem is. In reality, the problem truly is that they just don't have a system for creating content, or they don't have an efficient system for creating content, but they think it's that they don't have time. They think it's that they don't know what to say. In reality, it's that they don't have that system. So what I have to do during that pre-launch phase is I have to say, don't have time to create content. Here's why. It's because you don't have a system. Don't know what to say? Well, here's why. You don't have a system in place for keeping your ideas, right? And so I take the problems that they think they have, and I don't I show them how actually what the deeper problem is this system. And so during the pre-launch phase, I am making them aware of the true problem that they have, right? Also during this phase, this is when I'm really focused on list building. This is when I'm trying to get podcast interviews out there, when I'm trying to share about the freebies that I have, and I am just getting as many people on my list as I can, right? People that are going to be good fits for my offers, but as many people as I can. And I'm sharing about my freebies left and right. Okay. Then we move into the pre launch phase. And if you're here live, please feel free to drop questions in the chat at any point and I will answer them for you. But then we move into the pre launch phase. Now, as we start the pre launch phase, your audience knows, okay, I know what my problem is. I don't have a system. That's great. What's the solution? They're ready to hear how they solve the problem that they now know they have, right? So then that's when you're able to say, okay, you know you need a system. Let me tell you more about what kind of system you need to create, right? So you're giving them the information about, okay, here's the solution. You know your problem is you don't have a system. The solution is you got to have a system in place. Let me tell you more about that system that you need to have in place. And so you're creating content around that thing and you're helping them see the solution. You're also starting to occasionally bring up the offer that you have. So I would talk about, hey, I've got your problem is that you don't have a system in place. A great system to have is batching. Oh, and I've got this course. If you're interested, you can go check it out. Quick mention like that. It's not a hard sale. It's just it's here if you want it, right? During this phase, you're also getting really specific about the freebies that you are sending people to. So during the pre-launch phase, you're kind of just like free for all. Here are some of the offers that I have. Here are some of the freebies that I have. I would love for you to check this out. During the pre-launch phase, you want to really specifically be sending people to the freebie that directly aligns with the offer you're getting ready to launch, right? So in my case, I've actually got two things. I've got my book. This isn't actually a freebie, but it's a very low ticket offer. You can also send people to those. This book talks in detail about simplifying your marketing, showing up consistently, and there's a whole section about simplifying your marketing and a whole chapter about batching. So that's one of mine. But I also have a free audio training about how to create content faster. And it goes into different ways that you can do that. So I'm getting really specific about sending people to freebies or low ticket offers that will then give them more information about Content Batching Bootcamp. So I'm building a list of people who very, 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 very specifically are interested in the topic that I'm getting ready to launch my offer around. That's the pre-launch phase. You are lead gen specifically for the upcoming launch. Then you move into launch, and that is when you are hard selling. But do you see how those 2 phases ahead of time, those other 2 parts of the launch runway, they're actually helping people understand and know whether or not your offer is for them. If someone's listening to your pre-launch content and they're going, My problem isn't a system. It's not for me. I don't relate to this." They're gonna naturally fall to the wayside, right? If they get into pre-launch and they're like, "That sounds great, but, like, I'm not convinced that I need batching," they're gonna naturally fall to the wayside. You get into launch and they're gonna be able to say, "Yes, I I do have this problem. I need a system in place. Yes, I think batching is going to really help me. Yes, I want your offer." Or, "Yes, yes, no, I don't want your offer. I think this could help. I'm not ready for this right now." And they naturally don't buy. So we're not manipulating people. We're not saying, "Hey, you need to have this or you're never going to be able to create content." It's no. If yes, you have this problem. If yes, the solution sounds like it's right for you. If yes, you trust me, like you're building this know like and trust, right? If yes, if yes, if yes, here's my offer if you want it. And so in that way, your audience members know by the time you open doors whether or not this offer is for them. And it's that simple. Here's the thing though. The most important part of this is that you're showing up consistently long before the launch happens. So you have to be consistent in this pre-launch and pre-launch phase. You have to show up consistently, otherwise that know like and trust factor gone. They're not going to trust you enough to buy your offer. So I really encourage you to prepare early to make sure that you're building in these 3 parts of the launch runway and to show up consistently so you can build the know like and trust and help your people know whether or not your offer is for them. If you haven't already, be sure to go watch the video I have all about simplifying your content creation, which will help you show up consistently. And if you have any questions about any part of those 3 parts of a launch runway, please let me know in the chat. I am here to answer questions for those of you that are live. And then also, if you are watching the replay, I will come back and answer your questions about the launch runway, the 3 sections of it yourself. So we've got pre-launch, pre-launch, and launch. And if you have any questions about any of those, please let me know. And once you start looking at launching as those 3 different chunks, those 3 different phases, it's actually a lot easier to come up with 1, what you're going to say during a launch, and 2, what your freebies, what your low ticket offer should be, because you know exactly what you're trying to share in order to help people understand whether or not your offer is for them. All right, well, looks like we don't have any live questions. So I will see you back here tomorrow for our next live, our quick little mini lesson at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And yeah, go check out that video all about showing up consistently and how to simplify content creation so that you can show up consistently. I'll also link in the description that audio training that I mentioned and my book if you're interested in either of those. See you tomorrow, friends.